Hello everyone, today I'm going to show you how to crochet this beautiful and easy braided stitch. This is just a 1 row repeat. We will be using puff stitches through this whole pattern, and this is how it looks like. Of course, it looks exactly the same on the back side, just to let you know if you want to use it for a scarf or a baby blanket. And yeah, now I will show you what we need and how to crochet this beautiful stitch. Today I'm using a 5.5mm crochet hook. You will also need a pair of scissors, a yarn needle, and today I'm using the King Cole Rio Chunky yarn. It's just a beautiful yarn with those pretty colors, but of course you can use any yarn you like. This is a 30% wool and a 70% premium acrylic yarn, but like I said, you can use any yarn you like and the recommended hook. And now let's get started with a slip knot, and we will crochet chains. For this pattern you need a multiple of 2, and for my example today I will make 20 chains. So grab the yarn, pull through, grab the yarn, pull through. Just make sure it's nice and loose, don't make it too tight, and just keep crocheting your chains in a multiple of 2 until you reach the desired length you need for your project. And I will see you back in just a moment. Once you're done with your chain in a multiple of 2, we can start our pattern. We will need the 5th chain from the hook. The loop on the hook does not count as a stitch, so we will count 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We will yarn over, insert the hook into the 5th stitch, and make a double crochet. Grab the yarn, pull through 2, grab the yarn, pull through 2. And now we will make another chain 1. Now we will go back to the stitch before our double crochet. So in the previous stitch right here we will do our puff stitch. So we will yarn over, insert a hook into the stitch before the double crochet, so in here, grab the yarn and pull up, just like that. And for my puff stitch I will be doing 5 yarn overs in total, but this is totally up to you. It depends on the yarn. You can do it 4 times or 6 times if you use very thin yarn, but for mine I will yarn over 5 times. So this was my first time. Grab the yarn, yarn over, insert your hook for the second time, grab the yarn and pull up. And like I said, I'll be doing this 5 times. So yarn over, insert, grab the yarn, pull up, 3rd time, the 4th time, and now the 5th. Now we will grab the yarn. I always turn my hook upside down like that, and I'm going through all the loops, and we will secure with a chain 1. And this is how the first puff stitch looks like. Like you can see in this stitch here, we worked our double crochet. So this is not an empty stitch. In this stitch, we did the double crochet. So we will skip the next, and into the stitch after that, we will be working our double crochet and chain 1. So skip the next stitch, which is here, go into the next, and work your double crochet and chain 1. Now again, we will go back into the stitch we skipped, so the stitch here, and work our puff stitch. So yarn over, insert your hook into the stitch before our double crochet, and work your puff stitch. So I will yarn over 5 times, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and the yarn, go through all the loops and chain 1. And this is the repeat for the first row. Again, in this stitch here, in the next stitch that looks empty, but this is where the double crochet is. So we will skip the stitch with the double crochet in it, the next stitch, and in the stitch after that we will be working our double crochet chain 1. So skip the next empty stitch, go into the next and work your double crochet and chain 1. Go into the stitch we skipped, so this one here, and work your puff stitch. So insert, grab the yarn, pull up 1 time, 2nd time, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Grab the yarn, go through all the loops and chain 1. And you will repeat this all the way along, and I will see you back at the end of this row. Now at the end of my row, and you should have 1 stitch left, and in the last stitch we will just work 1 double crochet. So insert your hook into the last stitch and work 1 double crochet. This will curl up a little bit. It's totally normal. You will see when you keep crocheting your rows, it will straighten up. It's just really important that your chains on the very beginning are very loose. And now let's get started with the next row. So for the next row, and this is the row we will be repeating all the way. So the next row, it's the repeat for the rest of the pattern. So we will chain 3 and turn the work around. And now we will be working in the spaces between the puff stitches. Here on the very beginning, if you pull it, this will count as our first space. So this space here, we will skip into the next space between the first and the second puff stitch. We will be working our double crochet chain 1. So yarn over, insert your hook into the second space. Remember, this is our first, this is the second. So insert your hook there and work your double crochet chain 1. Now we will go back into the very first space, and in here we will be working our puff stitch. So yarn over, insert your hook into the very first space and work your puff stitch just like you did in the previous row. So I'm yarning over 5 times in total. Now grab the yarn again, go through all the loops and chain 1 to secure the puff stitch. Here is the next space, and we will skip this space here. Here's the puff stitch we just worked, so skip the space here, and into the next space we will work our double crochet chain 1. So skip this space here, go into the next space, work your double crochet chain 1. Now we will go back into the space we skipped, and into the space here we will be working our puff stitch. Go through all the loops, chain 1. And this is the repeat for this row, and here you can see our pattern. So again, here we worked our puff stitch, skip the next stitch, the next space. Into the space after this one, we will be working our double crochet chain 1. So skip the space here, go into the next, work your double crochet, chain 1, and now we will go back into the space we skipped and work your puff stitch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Grab the yarn, go through all the loops and chain 1. And you will repeat this all the way along. I will show you one more time. So we just work this puff stitch here, skip the space here, go into the space after this and into the space here, work your double crochet, chain 1, go back into the space we just skipped and work your puff stitch. Go through all the loops and chain 1. And you will repeat this all the way along, and I will see you back in our last space. I'm almost at the end of my row, and now we have 1 space left. And when you go to the very back, here where our chain 3 is, and you pull it a little bit, here is our last space. So we will skip the space here right after our puff stitch, go into the chain 3 from the previous row, and in there we will be putting our last double crochet for the puff stitch. So work a double crochet, chain 1. Now go back into the space we skipped, work your puff stitch, go through all the loops, chain 1, and now to make a nice straight edge, we will be going back into the last space one more time and just work a double crochet. So into the last space here, insert your hook and make a double crochet. And this is how the second row looks like. And this is the row we will be repeating through the whole pattern. So I will show you one more time how to start this row. So you will chain 3, turn your work around. And again, like in the previous row, here on the very beginning is our first space. We will be skipping that one. We will go into the next space here and work a double crochet, chain 1. Now go back into the very first space here and work your puff stitch. Grab the yarn, go through all the loops and chain 1. And now we will just repeat the previous row. So here we just worked our puff stitch, skip the next space, go into the space after that, so in here, and work your double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1. Now we'll go back into the space we just skipped and work our puff stitch. Grab the yarn, pull through all the loops and chain 1. And you will repeat this all the way along. I will show you one more time. So we just work this puff stitch here, skip the next space, go into the space after the space. So skip, go into the next and work your double crochet, chain 1. You see I'm crocheting it super loose just so I have enough space to go back and it's not too tight. And now we go back into the space we skipped, yarn over, insert and work your puff stitch. Go through all the loops and chain 1. And this is how it looks like. And you will repeat this all the way along, and I will show you one more time how to finish off this row. At the end of my row, and again we will skip the next stitch, and now we will go into the very back and here into the last space where our chain 3 is. We will work our double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, go into the space we just skipped, and work your puff stitch. Go through all the loops, chain 1, and to finish off this row, we will be going back into the same last space here and work a double crochet. And this is how we get the nice and straight edge. And this is it. You will repeat this row over and over again until you reach the desired width you need for your project. I will repeat those rows and I will show you in just a moment how it looks like and how to finish off. I repeated the row over and over again, and this is how it looks like, and I just really love those colors. I hope you can see how pretty they are, and I just really like this stitch. Once you're done, all you have to do at the very end to finish off is chain 1, pull tight, and now just cut your yarn, grab your hook, pull through and pull tight. And now all we have to do is sew in our ends and we are done. Sewed in all my ends and we are done. I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Of course, I would love to see your pictures. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great time crocheting and I hope to see you back soon. Bye.